Chapter 9, 178, Subduing the Feathermen. Bam, bam, bam! Continuous explosions resounded like thunder. Every explosion shook the whole of Sacred Feather City. Fang Yuan was standing within ruins, hiding inside the rolling dust and dirt as the entirety of Sacred Feather City shook. Enslaving a Gu immortal is indeed countless times more difficult than enslaving beast groups. Fang Yan felt the pressure on his soul. Enslaving other life forms created a burden on the Gu Master. Back in Northern Plains during the contest for the Imperial Court, Fang Yan had commanded tens of thousands of beasts, but it was not that he had enslaved all of them, rather through enslaving myriad beast kings, 1,000 beast kings and 100 beast kings, he had been indirectly controlling the whole beast army. Man is the spirit of all living beings. Beasts did not have much intelligence, so Fang Yuan was able to enslave a lot of them. However, Zhou Zhong was completely different. Zhou Zhong had deep wisdom and intelligence. Although enslaving him did not fail, it created an extremely huge burden on Fang Yuan's soul. After all, Zhou Zhong was a Gu immortal. Rank 6 slavery immortal Gu could only enslave a rank 6 Gu immortal. It is also because Zhou Zhong is a featherman and not a human. His intelligence is inferior just by a bit. If I were to enslave a human Gu immortal, I might have failed. I had cultivated soul path previously and have some foundation in regards to my soul, but this is only at the limits of mortal levels, and my foundation in it as a Gu immortal is quite shallow. By enslaving Zhou Zhong, my soul has become heavily burdened. If my soul was like an energetic youth before, now I have turned into an old man with a heavy load on my back. With such a sharp reduction in strength, it would be good if I can display 20% of my ability. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly. All the paths of Gu were broad and profound. So too was enslavement path. At Gu immortal level, there were extraordinary abilities that laymen could not grasp. Simply put, Fang Yuan was a layman in enslavement path. He did not know of any enslavement path immortal killer moves. If he had, then in combination with slavery immortal Gu, his current situation might have been much better. He was only able to use the slavery immortal Gu superficially. But with his previous lives' experiences, along with the help of the light of wisdom to deduce the plans, he was able to achieve a huge success. Master, I have received control over Sacred Feather City. Zheng Ling has already moved towards the battle to support the first Supreme Elder. Zhou Zhong's voice suddenly resounded in Fang Yuan's ears. Fang Yuan excitedly licked his lips, clenching his fists subconsciously. He sent a command. First, kill the real Yufei. He now had Yufei's appearance. The real Yufei was his greatest flaw. Shortly afterwards, Zhou Zhong's voice arrived again. Yufei is dead, turned into ashes. At present, Zhou Zhong was the only one controlling Sacred Feather City alone. As such, this was accomplished easily. Good. Do all you can to control the immortal Gu house and get away from the battle. Fang Yuan sent another command. This time it took a good while before Zhou Zhong's weak voice arrived. Forgive me, Master. I was not able to do it. The whole immortal Gu house is already locked in place by the enemies. Fang Yuan snorted, a ferocious light flashing in his eyes. So it is still like this. He did not feel much disappointment. In his previous life, he had laid a trap which caused all the Feathermen to suicide, and he was only able to obtain Featherman Gu immortal Zheng Ling's soul. Zheng Ling had personally participated in the battle to defend Sacred Feather City, and not much time had passed. Thus his memories were extremely clear. So, his soul was not like Xue Songzi's, which had been tampered with by a soul path expert. Fang Yuan could easily search his soul and obtain all his memories. It was these memories that let Fang Yuan feel like he had personally experienced the battle to defend Sacred Feather City. Thus, his timing was so precise, he could infiltrate the immortal Gu house and take the opportunity when the two sides were in an intense battle to successfully enslave Gu immortal Zhou Zhong. There were a lot of opportunities like this, but the best one was this. Zhou Zhong just happened to be restricted by an immortal killer move and was not able to budge, providing huge convenience to Fang Yuan. From Zheng Ling's soul, Fang Yuan also knew this immortal Gu house, Sacred Feather City, was locked down by the enemies and was unable to be moved. However, a person like Fang Yuan would absolutely not be reconciled to this. They would personally attempt it. The attempt indeed failed, and he was unable to steal this sacred feather city. Fang Yuan could only choose the second best option, observing from the sidelines and letting the events continue to develop. Similarly to his previous life, Zhou Zhong carried his heavily injured body and controlled the immortal Gu house with difficulty, freeing Zhong Ling from the duty. Zhong Ling hurried to reinforce the first Supreme Elder and had a huge fight with White Sea Chateau and the rest. This huge fight was the most crucial fight of the battle to defend Sacred Feather City. The outcome of the fight was the same as Fang Yuan's previous life. White Sea, Chateau and the rest were beaten back and escaped through the gap in the wall. The first Supreme Elder was heavily injured and was on the verge of death after being targeted by the combined strength of the Western Desert Gu Immortals. As for Zhong Ling, his situation was slightly better. The battle ended, the immortal Gu house was restored, and there was no gaps anymore, its defense becoming perfect. However, the Featherman First Supreme Elder's injuries could not be healed, and he died within the city. After losing their greatest battle strength, the two Featherman Gu Immortals held on for a night, and seeing that nothing could be done, they resolutely decided to give up on the immortal Gu house and leave this place. All the Feathermen gathered together and activated the immortal killer. Move heavenly wish. I wish my clan's Feathermen survive. I wish my clan's Feathermen gain freedom. I wish my clan's Feathermen have a place to live in the world. The Western Desert. Gu Immortals observed from the sidelines, letting the Feathermen leave. Once the Feathermen left, they could obtain the entire immortal Gu House Sacred Feather City. It was the first time Fang Yuan experienced this heavenly wish. He felt a majestic and powerful white light engulfing him, along with the rest of the Feathermen, and transporting them through a white tunnel. He felt he was like a piece of wood dropped into a rapid whirlpool as he was sent revolving round and round. After about 5 minutes, the surrounding white light suddenly disappeared, and Fang Yuan found his footing once again. He was feeling extremely dizzy and almost fell to the ground. The surrounding mortal Feathermen were already sprawled on the ground. Only the two Featherman Gu Immortals, Zhong Ling and Zhou Zhong, were vigilantly standing. Fang Yuan inwardly shook his head at this. It seems that after enslaving Zhou Zhong, my own battle strength is not worth any expectations. Where is this place? The Featherman Gu Immortal Zhou Zhong scanned his surroundings. Zhong Ling's expression changed rapidly. Not good. This is a human Gu Immortal's blessed land. We were treated as an earthly calamity and transported here. With Tai Bai Yun Sheng at the lead, He Lu Lan and Fairy Li Shan slowly flew towards the Feathermen. In his previous life, Fang Yuan helped Tai Bai Yun Sheng to pass the tribulation and did not invite them. But this life, Fang Yuan wanted to use this earthly calamity to intimidate them, so he invited them to help. Tai Bai Yun Sheng was expressionless, feeling both shocked and joyous internally. Fang Yuan looked for me to tell me he could deduce this calamity and told me what to do. I did not dare to believe him then, but now it seems everything is just like what he said. I can definitely pass this earthly calamity. He Lu Lan and Fairy Li Shan were both inwardly shocked. Having a Featherman calamity was rare and peculiar. But Fang Yuan had actually accurately predicted it. What did this mean? One of the reasons it was difficult to pass heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities was that they could not be predicted. Fang Yuan now had this ability, which was simply like a divine weapon to pass tribulations. As long as they made specific preparations before the tribulation, the probability of successfully passing the tribulation would be raised by a terrifying degree. The Featherman, Gu Immortal. Zhong Ling's heart sank to rock bottom. In his previous life, when he had seen Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng, he had a feeling of contempt. But now the rank 7 Fairy Li Shan, He Lu Lan with the great strength true martial physique, and Tai Bai Yun Sheng arrived together, especially the unconcealed aura of immortal Gu on them. They involuntarily brought huge mental pressure on Zheng Ling. There was nothing much to say after that. With Tai Bai Yun Sheng displaying the ability of landscape as before Immortal Gu, the Featherman Gu Immortal's threat towards Tai Bai Yun Sheng's immortal aperture had become non-existent. In his previous life, just with Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yun Sheng, these Feathermen had been duped over and over. This time, not only was there He Lulan and Fairy Li Shan, Zhou Zhong and Yu Fei were also hidden traitors. After a duel, Zheng Ling was once again killed, but Tai Bai Yun Sheng and the others did not force the remaining Feathermen. This was a mistake Fang Yuan had made last time. This time he would not make it again. These Feathermen were different from those Feathermen sold in the markets. They lived in the immemorial Green Heaven fragment world, living on for generations in isolation from the rest of the world. They had the nature of the ancient Feathermen. They would rather suicide than lose their freedom. Thus, Tai Bai Yun Sheng did not restrict them, instead negotiating with them deceptively. Under the lead of Zhou Zhong and Yu Fei, the Feathermen moved to Starform Blessed Land. With these Feathermen, Fang Yuan's development in Western Desert could reach a new stage, and his prospects were bright. This was not his only harvest. After the event, He Lulan indirectly asked him regarding the prediction of the calamity. Fang Yuan intentionally gave a bitter smile, asking back, "You think I have such an ability? Don't forget, Purple Mountain, True Monarch is my master. At the same time, Tai Bai Yun Sheng is also his disciple." He Lulan thought, so it was indeed like this. This ability is too powerful. It is not something Fang Yuan can possess, so it was Purple Mountain True Monarch. Unconsciously, He Lulan and Fairy Li Shan's apprehension towards Purple Mountain True Monarch deepened further. Fang Yuan was able to deal a heavy blow to them. This would be greatly beneficial to him in restricting Blazing Heaven Demoness in the future. It was only that after he enslaved Zhou Zhong, his soul's burden had become very heavy, and there was much difficulty in even refining Dream Path Mortal Gu. This intensified Fang Yuan's desire towards Luopo Valley. Luopo Valley and Donghun Mountain. If he had both of them, then even if he was a layman in Soul Path, the foundation of his soul would increase rapidly. However, right now it was still not the time to go to Luopo Valley. In his previous life, He Cheng's soul had ended up in He Lulan's hands. Much of the information obtained through soul searching had been shared with Fang Yuan as well. Fang Yuan knew that currently Luopo Valley had been remodeled into a secret stronghold by Shadow Sect, with large numbers of Gu formations arranged everywhere. Even in his previous life, when Feng Zhuge and the other Central Continent Gu immortals had attacked Luopo Valley when no one was around, these Gu formations were able to hold them off until Qin Bai Sheng and the rest arrived. Right now, Luopo Valley was filled with Shadow Sect's members. It was much more terrifying than a dragon's den. Fang Yuan needed to wait for the appropriate time.